Welcome back. We've been hearing a great deal recently about new and improved diagnostic scans, things that can look inside the body and give doctors a much clearer picture without the need for exploratory surgery. And we're learning more about another generation of MRI, that's magnetic resonance imaging, from Phyllis Newfield. She's the president of Washington Open MRI in Greenbelt. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Most people know about MRI. As it's a large device in which you lie down on a table and you're sort of slid back underneath what turns out to be a big magnet in a very confined space. Now, for a lot of people, that's a problem because you have to stay in there. You have to stay quiet, motionless for a relatively long period of time. The second generation was something called an open MRI, which was much more open, much less confined. Now I guess we're down to sort of the third generation here, a device where you can literally stand up. You are there in sort of a normal standing position, all the while you're having an MRI done.
That's correct. And you accurately portrayed the evolution of MRI. When NIH got their first MRI in 1979, I was involved with that, and they found that even with the patient population that they had, which certainly had a vested interest in having an MRI done, they had upwards of 20% of their patients unable to undergo the test, either because of size or claustrophobia, frank claustrophobia. The open MRIs were developed. Initially in the mid to late 80s, there were a lot of compromises with those machines. In the last few years, the hardware and software advances have taken them much closer to the higher field closed MRIs in diagnostic capability, image quality, resolution, that sort of thing. The new stand-up that Washington Open MRI has just acquired, we've been seeing patients for about 4 weeks now, can image patients in a fully upright position, can image patients in a seated position, can also image them in what's called Trendelenburg, where your head is lower than your heart, and neurologists like that for flow studies, and also in a standard recumbent position. The advantage to that, of course, is if you have a back problem and you are traditionally told by your physician, you got to go lie down when your back hurts. So with this machine, we can image you in the recumbent position and also image you in the position of pain. That would be in a standing position. The physician gets to put those images side by side and do a compare and contrast. Why are you having more pain in the standing position?
That's an interesting thing that you bring up there, because you do have the option here. You can show this situation, you can show whatever the organ system or the thing that you're looking for from a couple of different ways. If you want to see someone lying down, you can do that. But then if you want to see them standing up, we never could do that before.
Correct.
So you do have the opportunity to do that sort of A and B comparison.
Absolutely. And imaging in the position of pain is something that physicians have never really been able to see before. It makes a lot of sense. Runners, for example, they have a lot of knee injuries, and what does the doctor tell you when your knee hurts? Put your foot up. Lie down. Same with your back. So this does make a lot of sense. I think that a lot more physicians are going to see the advantage of it as it becomes more available, as people are able to see the images.
You bring up another point here. As it becomes more available, you've got the only one of these in the whole world.
In the whole world.
I suspect there are an awful lot of people who are looking over your shoulder to see exactly what you're seeing from these things, to try and, I guess, gauge the value of this device. I
imagine that's true. It's been around for a while, and we were the first ones at Washington Open MRI to make it available. We're seeing an awful lot of interest from patients as well as physician referrers who really want to see what this new device can do for them, what it can do for their patients.
Do patients request different kinds of MRIs, and frankly, can they? Because perhaps that's an important thing for people watching. If they are told they need to get an MRI, and people understand what that means, I suspect a lot of them are going to say, I'm not sure that I want to have the traditional closed MRI. Can you go back to your physician and say, you know, I think I would like a different kind, I'd like an alternative here, can I get an open one, can I get this standing one?
Absolutely. If you have a prescription from your physician for an MRI, it is a prescription for you to go where you want to go. Whether that's an open or closed or stand-up, that's your option. And a lot of the patients that we get have told their physicians that they want to go to a non-traditional open type of MRI, and that's their choice.
And that takes us back to something that you said earlier, too, when there was a time, if you had gone to the open MRI, you might not have gotten the best possible diagnostic image, but we've seemed to have cleared that hurdle now.
I absolutely think we've cleared that hurdle, and that's, you know, that's a misconception that's been held on to for a number of years. The image quality on the newer machines are really very, very good. There's no compromise at all. You're really going to see what you need to see.
I don't want us to blue sky this. It's a wonderful technology. Are there some things, though, that MRI can't show? We think of it as being this sort of magic looking glass, and in many ways it is. But let's be realistic here as well. What does this work best on? What is it not as effective on?
This is a wonderful diagnostic tool for soft tissue, for the spine, knee, joints, shoulders, brain. It really does it all. There's a lot of body imaging being done, a lot of flow studies. It's really amazing how much this machine has evolved even in the last 20 years. What you can do on this machine versus what you could do 20 years ago, it's amazing. It really is a very, very useful diagnostic tool.
You talked about flow studies, and that is a subject that we have brought up on this program before, too, is that it used to be MRIs and CAT scans, things like that, were sort of moments in time. We can now sort of take these images together, and particularly when it comes to, for instance, the flow of fluids through organs and that kinds of things, correctly done, you can see these things over a period of time. You literally can see how the organ, for instance, the heart, functions in some ways. Again, views that we never had before.
MRIs do not, at the moment, do a lot of cardiac studies. You can do MR angiography for flow studies, but CT is probably a better diagnostic tool for strictly for heart. You want to stay with MRI for joints and body images, brain studies, that sort of thing.
This is a technology that insurance is okay with and will pay for, those sorts of things?
Absolutely. They've been okay with it for a long time. The third-party insurance companies do not differentiate between open, closed, stand up, sit down. Doesn't matter to them. An MRI is an MRI.
Phyllis Newfield, thank you very much. I appreciate your joining us to talk about what clearly is something different and in many ways better for patients who need MRI. Thank you very much. That's all of our time. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Dave Lucas.